First things first, I want to test you guys and see where you're at with your thinking. I'm going to put a picture up, but before I do, I'm going to ask you to try to find as many things as you can that are purple, okay? You want to look for as many things that are purple, okay? So I'm only going to give you a short period of time, maybe like 5 seconds, all right? So I'm going to show you the picture in 3, 2, 1. All right, so how do you think you did? Good? Now I want you to name something that was green. Go. You probably don't know, to be honest. And the reason for that is because I told you to look for something that was purple. Your brain was only looking for the things that were purple. It didn't care about the things that were green. The point I'm trying to make is what you focus on is what you're going to see. What you're looking for is what you will find. If you're constantly looking for bad things, the only things that are going to be in your life are bad because that's all you're looking for. And just like on the opposite end, if you want to be happy and you want to have a lot of good things in your life, you have to focus on the things that validate those feelings. So you have to look at the good. Good things equals good vibes. Bad things equals bad vibes, okay? There's one thing all of us right now watching this video have in common that not a lot of people get to do if you really think about it. All the people that have been and could have been are not able to watch this video right now. That in itself should be the number one thing that you focus on, is that you have the ability to wake up and live your life. And I feel like that's kind of where I'm at with life, but it's something obviously I could work on more, but I'm trying to get myself to basically enjoy the journey, not the destination. Although where I'm at right now in life isn't the greatest, and part of me makes it feel like it fucking sucks, but that's what the beauty of it is. The ability to feel that and experience that moment in real time is a blessing. And not many people get to do that. Even, you got to think about all the people that aren't in your situation, okay? They can't feel what you're feeling, and they might not ever feel that because they're not in your shoes. They haven't grown up the way you've been grown up. You haven't been put in the situation that you've been put in. Like, what has happened to you is so unique to your story that not many people are going to be able to experience that. So being able to say that you have is something great, you know? Now, a lot of people will say like, oh, but what about like the bad things that happen? How can you justify that experience is good? You know what I'm saying? It's all about perspective. Although, like, being able to share that story and who knows what it might turn into could lead into something greater. If there's two different types of scenarios, right? But like both immediate outcomes are the same, you need to make better of the situation, okay? You always want to try to look at the better side of things. So if you're stuck in a situation that sucks, you need to like put it in a way that you could see the good side, even though you're in a bad situation. So for instance, let's say your house burns down, okay? First of all, some people don't even have a house. So to be able to have the opportunity for your house to burn down, you're probably already in like the top 1%. Okay, so let's be realistic about that. But let's say your house burns down, right? Everybody's okay, God forbid. Let's say your house burns down. You could be devastated and sit in that sorrow that your house burned down and nothing will ever change. But if you sit there and you're like, yeah, my house burned down, but my insurance company gave me this, so now I can buy a bigger house for my family, and we now have this yard that my kids can run around on and whatnot. You know, whatever it may be, you just have to find the better side of things. If you always sit there and like see the negative and validate the negative with another negative, it's just going to be so much negative shit that you're not going to want to do anything. You're not. You're just going to sit in that sorrow. You have to break out of that. The reality is that we are all the same. Everything that we go through is the same. It's just in different ways, different forms. Everybody feels pain. Everybody feels sorry. Everybody feels hurt. Everybody's had their heart broken, felt devastated, lost somebody, you know. All these things happen to us. But what are you going to do? Just sit there and do nothing about it? That's one thing that's for certain, that nothing will change, is if you just sit there and do nothing about it. You think a director makes a whole movie and he sees one scene and he's like, oh, I don't like that. Scratch the whole movie. No. That'd be a waste. And people wouldn't be able to get to experience that movie and watch it. He would see this bad scene and he would fix the bad scene. And then it becomes perfect. Then people get to experience that. Another thing is, you have to do stuff, you know. If you just sit there and you don't do anything, by the time you go to sleep, how are you going to look back at your day and be like, man, that was a productive day. I'm proud of myself. I did this. I got this done. I did that. But if you do nothing, you look back at that at the end of your day and look at what you did and you're like, fuck, I didn't do anything today. And then you start getting in this mindset about yourself. You know, there's a lot of shit that I don't want to do. Not don't want to do, but I don't feel like doing it. Like, I don't feel like going to the gym. I don't feel like going to work. I don't feel like going to the store and having to find the food that I need to get. And I don't feel like doing any of that shit. But the reality is, it needs to get done. And just like working out in the gym and having muscles, the person who's going to lift the heaviest is the one that spent the most time in the gym. The more you use your brain, the more you have to use critical thinking skills and put yourself out there and do shit, the more reps you're going to have in, you know? The person who's out in public talking to people every day compared to the person who doesn't talk to anybody at all, who's going to have more conversations with people? Probably the person that went out in public and talked to people all the time. You know, that goes with anything. The guy who's rich didn't just wake up with $1 million in his bank account. He put time in again and again and again and again. Maybe they picked it up faster than others, but who's to say that, you know, the race needs to be won in 5 minutes? You know, you win the race, you win the race. And you also got to look at who you're competing against. You are competing against a lot of people, but the reality is, you're competing against yourself. It's you against you. You don't have money? Where are you spending it? Oh, but I gotta go to work and my car only gets 16 miles to the gallon. And who bought the car? Who made that decision? You are where you're at right now because of the decisions you've made in your life and the decisions you are currently making. If you want something to change, you have to change yourself. It's not gonna happen for you. Nobody's gonna come along and say, oh, here's your problem. I have the solution. I'm just gonna fix it. You have to fix your own problems. You know? You gotta figure out what you want and how you're gonna get there. And not blame anybody but yourself. And don't take life so serious. You know, like, we all die. Think about how many people have been on this earth. Let me put it in perspective for you. I want you to tell me who your grandparents were. Who were they? What did they do? You don't fucking know, because that's thousands of years ago. And nobody ever knows. You know, maybe now because of social media and stuff like that. But even then, you're going to be so far from that timeline that they're not going to... I can't imagine someone talking shit about someone who's dead thousands of years. You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't talk shit about, I don't know, Abraham Lincoln, I guess. Who knows? Think about some, because I don't even know, because who would... It's not even a thing. So why are you going to sit here and get caught up in all this shit that's a blip of all of the existence of this universe? You know, if you think about from the time we were alive to where we are now, And even in the future, think about the what could be. Think about how much time your life is. That is such a small percentage. Your life is a blip. It's literally nothing. Now, I don't say that to diminish it. Think about how free you can be when you know that everything around you doesn't matter. The only thing that matters is the shit that you make matter. You know what I'm saying? Your car? Fuck that shit. Who cares about that? You know? The size your house lives in? Who cares about that? You know? They said they did a study where, or no, it wasn't a study. It was this priest who would spend a lot of time at the hospitals, like praying and blessing these people before they pass away. And he said, the last words speak a lot, you know? Nobody ever said, oh, I want to see my car one last time, or oh, I want to see my house one last time, or oh, I want to see that Gucci belt one last time. They always ask for the people that they love and care about. That's who they ask for. So if you think about it, if you just fulfill your life caring about all this materialistic ass shit, what are you going to have when you pass away? Think about it. You're going to be like, fuck, I spent my entire life worrying about all this materialistic stuff when that could have been time spent with the people I love and care about. But you can't dwell on the past. You can only keep moving forward. So what are you going to do with it now? Now that you know this, what are you going to do moving forward? That's what you got to ask yourself. But anyways, I don't want to make this video too long. So I feel like, I hope I gave value to you guys, and hopefully you guys take this and do something with it. You know, if you don't, that's up to you. I'm just throwing it out there because what if, you know? I need to help somebody. And even if one person hears this and takes something from it and betters their life, right on, you know? I guess that'll be it for me today. Appreciate you guys watching as always, and like and subscribe if you like content like this, and appreciate y'all much.